Absolute values and piecewise functions, shift absolute value graphs. Okay, the graphs of y is equal to the absolute value of x is shifted down by 6 units and into the left by 9. So we're going to start off with our base equation, which is y is equal to the absolute value of x. Now, anytime they talk about left or right, they're talking about x. So x is left and x is right. Okay, any numbers to the left are considered to be negative numbers. Any numbers to the right are considered to be positive numbers. Now, as for the y, anytime they talk about up or down, that is your y. So your y is going to be positive if it goes up, and it's going to be negative if it goes down. Okay, so the first parentheses, inside this parentheses here is your x values. Anything after the parentheses is your y values. So your x values will go here, your y values will go here. So anything inside the absolute value, this is going to be your x value. Anything after the absolute value is going, anything after the absolute value sign is going to be your y value. So your y's go here and your x's go here. Now what you have to remember is that you're going inside. So once you're going inside, everything is going to become opposite. So keep that in mind, that when we put numbers inside with the x, the number itself will always be opposite. So if we look at our description here, it says we're going to shift down by 6 and then to the left by 9. So we're going to go down by 6. So we're going to say y is equal to, we're going to have our absolute value with our x inside. We'll skip a space, but it says right here we're going to shift down 6 units. So that's a minus 6. There's no change to that number. Whatever that number is, we accept because it's not an absolute value. So the up is positive, the down is negative. This goes right after the absolute value sign. Now let's take a look at the next part. The next part says left by 9. Anytime we go left, that's going to be a negative number. So this is a negative 9 and this is a negative 6. So this right here is a negative 9. So let's write that a little clearer. So that's a negative 9 and this is a negative 6. But since the negative 9 is going inside, it becomes opposite. So the opposite of a negative 9 becomes a positive 9. So what are we looking for here? We're looking for an x plus 9, which we have right here for a and b, but we want it to be a minus 6 after it. So again, remember that x is left or right, so left is negative, right is positive, y is up or down, up is positive, y is down. Remember the x values go inside the absolute value signs, the y values are after the absolute value signs. There is no change to the y values, there is a change to the x values because they're going inside. Anytime numbers go inside, just like a parentheses, they become opposite. So our answer here should be B. Okay, now we have a graph here. And we want to go from this blue to this red here. So this blue to this red here, and we can see our possible answers here. So what we do here is we just write out the new coordinates. So you have the starting point here. So for instance, this graph right here will start at 0, 0. So that's the origin of the graph. Right here, this graph starts here. And this is the point right there. And another word for the origin could be the vertex. So it could be like the lowest point or the highest point. So in this case here, this is the lowest point, and the graph is opening upward. Here is the lowest point here. So what's the coordinates here? Well, it's going to be at a -4. So our x is going to be at a -4. And now for our y, notice that we're going up by 6. So we're stopping right there. So we're going to go up 6. So we have -4 and 6. Now let's write it in the form of this equation here. So we could say, y is equal to, remember, inside the absolute value is always your x. Now we see that we have a -4, but we're going to put the -4 inside. So the number itself is going to become opposite. So the -4 becomes a +4. So the -4 would become a +4. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. So we'd simply say x plus sign 4. Now as for the y, we attach that right after the absolute value sign, and whatever the number is, we accept. So in this case here, it's a +6. Now if we were going to check that, we would take the opposite number that we see. So the opposite of a +4 would be a -4. The 6 would be a +6 and a +6. So we're looking for x plus 4 plus 6. Notice also that right here, right after the equal sign, there's no number there. That would be like a +1. Since it's a positive, it would go up. So it pretty much matches the graph that we see there. So we have x plus 4 and an x plus 6. So x plus 4, x plus 6. That looks like that should be B. Because this is -6, this is wrong, this is -4, and this is a +6. So the only one that makes sense here would be B. Okay, so we have the following. We have the f of x, and what the f of x shows is this is the original equation. So this is what everything is built from. It's built from f of x, then the absolute value, then the x. Now this is what our new absolute value is. So again, if we're going to look at this, we would say that the x value would actually be equal to a -9. Because again, anytime we have a number inside, the numbers taken out is going to be opposite. So anything inside parentheses or absolute value signs, when you remove those numbers and bring them out, they're always opposite. So this -9, now how do we interpret a -9? A -9 would be to the left. And the reason why it's to the left is if we looked at a number line here, we'd have 0 in the middle. All positive numbers are to the right. All negative numbers are to the left. So you can clearly see this is to the right, and this is to the left. So we have negative and positives. Now as for the -5 here, we just accept what we see. There's no absolute value sign, so you keep this as y is equal to a -5. Now anytime the number is negative, that means this is down. Of course, if the number here was positive for the x, it would go right. If the number was positive for the y, it would go up. But in this case here, we have a -9 and a -5 here. So it says to get the function, we shift up or down. Well, we're going to shift down. And let's see. Let me turn this off. So we're going to shift down, and we're going to shift down by actually 5. Don't put -5 because that's redundant. That's almost like a double negation. So don't do that. Just leave that as a 5 because you already said you're going to go down, and you're going to go down by how many? 5. It wouldn't make sense to say you're going to go down and then by -5. Okay, so now if we bring this back, and let me go and erase this. The next part, we want to determine if we go right or left. Well, right here we said we go to the left, and we're going to go -9. So to the left, and again, you wouldn't say -9 because we already know we're going to go to the left, and this would be 9 because it's a double negation. You already established you're going left, so therefore it's just going to be left 9 units, just like down 5 units. Okay, now the next question, we have the graph. So again, this part right here, this is your starting. So let me cut this on. So this is your starting formula right here. So y is equal to the absolute value of x. Now another thing about absolute values is that if we go ahead and write this out, we take a look at absolute values. What you want to really lock on or really take a look at is this v here. So when they say absolute values can be v graphs. They can open up, and again it's positive with the first number, or if the first number is negative, they can open down. So again, anytime you see absolute values, you know it's going to be a v-shaped graph. So keep that in mind. So with absolute values, these are v-shaped graphs. So this is my base, what I'm working from. Now it says it shifted to the left by 6. So what does the left mean? So if we go 6 left, so right here we're going to go 6 left. Well, we established from the earlier problems that going left or right, that is the x. So we know that x is equal to the 6, and we know that all numbers to the left of 0 are negatives. So x is a -6. Now notice y is not mentioned here. So we would go y is equal to the absolute value of x. Now remember, we're putting the -6 inside, but it's going to become a +6. So anytime numbers go inside, they always become opposite. Now there is no mention of up or down, so there would be no number after this. So if they don't give you any number for the y, just leave it blank. That's considered to be 0. So there's no number there, 0 here. So in this case here, we're looking for y is equal to x plus 6, or our matching answer here would be A. The rest of these would be incorrect because this has given us a downward, and it's no mention of down here. Again, this is also mentioned downward. So anytime you have a number after this, this is your direction for the y. In this case here, all these -6 would say that we're going down by 6, but that was never mentioned here. The only thing was mentioned as go to the left 6. This would work here because again, we're going to take the opposite of a +6. That would be a -6 since we're going to the left.